Alrighty, we should be live. Hello, everyone. Apologies, we are having a bit of a hectic morning this morning, but we're getting ready to start a great battle. We should be officially live. We are here in TBL week 2, and we're just going to jump right into it. We've got the Atlanta Talon Flames taking on the London Shockwave. Not going to spend too much time. So we're just going to tell the coaches that they're good to go ahead and just start. We are viewing the screen share of Addi. Both coaches coming off a loss last week. So hoping that we get some good actions. They're both looking for some revenge. Should be a good matchup. A little delayed. We were going to have a couple of coaches with us, but it's gone to the side, so we're just going to have some fun with it. Atlanta Talon Flames taking on the London Shockwave. Coaches should be searching now. All right. So, Atlanta Talon Flames are bringing their 6 of Sneasler, Metagross, Galarian, Weezing, Greninja, Entei, and Hoopa Unbound. Important to note that both Entei and Hoopa can Terra. On the flip side, the London Shockwave are bringing Tinkaton, Cresselia, Ninetales, Great Tusk, Raging Bolt, and Charizard. Charizard is the only Terra captain. This should be a very interesting one right off the bat. Curious to see what the leads are going to be. Interesting sets right off. As we see, I've not had any chance to do a review. Choice Scarf Charizard honestly seems very evil and very free here. I would imagine in the sun, even a Greninja does not like taking a hit from Charizard. I don't know its Terra type right off the bat, but should be interesting. It is Terra Fire. Oh yeah, that Greninja is not going to like it. If it swaps in the sun, it just dies to literally anything the Charizard clicks. Oh. So this is going to be interesting. Addi looking for a very strong bounce back. I am curious. Even the Entei just potentially dies. Oh, this is going to be... This Charizard is going to be absolutely terrifying. Yes, terrifying indeed. Entei does not get Flash Fire. It just gets Pressure, I believe. So we see a Tinkaton lead against a Metagross. Interesting 1v1 pairing here. Right off the bat, I think Addi's just going to go with the Stealth Rock, trying to make sure that anything that comes in that doesn't have boots is getting chipped. I wonder if we're going to see the same thing out of this Metagross. Their Metagross has the option of Stealth Rock as well, so this may just be a rock for a rock type situation. We see the Stealth Rock come out from the Tinkaton. Addi's Great Tusk does indeed have Rapid Spin if needed, and we just see an Earthquake from the Metagross. That is a hard-hitting one, but not a very offensive. This is a more defensive set on the Metagross. And we do see Citrus Berry get popped, so now the Tinkaton is back to a relatively healthy range, sitting at 75%, well outside of dying to another Earthquake here. So good bring on Addi's part, keeping this thing healthy, gets the rocks up that she needs, absolutely huge. And especially when we take a look at what Talon is bringing, not a single Mon is running boots. So anything that comes in, every time it pivots, it's going to take rock damage. Now, wondering here if we see another Earthquake. If so, that may just be a free moment for Charizard to swap in here. I mean, even if not, Heavy Slam's not going to do much. Psychic Things is going to be the only move that they can really click. Do we see the Metagross possibly just go for rocks themselves here? And we do see it. Rocks just come out, so Charizard coming in freely, now just in a very scary position. Overheat, it just murders. I don't know of anything that's going to want to swap in and take this. It may not be sun boosted, but it's going to hit hard. And it looks like the Metagross is going to stay in, so Unless this overheat misses, this Metagross is just dead. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that, folks. It's only a question of whether or not it connects. So we see the Terra come out, we see the overheat, and there's the animation indicating that this is going to connect, and Charizard picking up the first kill of the match, continuing right where it left off last week. Oh, but we see a Focus Sash on the Metagross, absolutely huge there, but what is it going to do back? Psychic Fang's getting off big damage. Absolutely huge Focus Sash from the Metagross. I should have saw that item. For some reason, I thought it was a berry. That is my bad, folks. Focus Sash. Absolutely terrifying there. And so now it's kind of a question of what you have to do. And it does mean that Great Tusk is at some point going to have to come in and click Rapid Spin just because Charizard does not want to deal with the fire. Overheat gets selected again, and now Charizard will pick up that kill. Metagross is going to go down, but arguably getting some major work done as both rocks are up and the Charizard has taken big damage. So currently a 5 to 6 advantage for the London Shockwave. What will Talon elect to go into here? As Charizard is in fact gaming at this point. We are waiting to see what Mon is coming out here. This Charizard likely forced to swap out as it's at -4 special attack. Still can do a ton of damage with it being Terra, but something like an Entei or a Greninja may be a free to bring in here. Now, something of important note, both the Charizard and the Greninja are both scarfed. The Greninja is faster, though. And we see Galarian Weezing come in here. Do we see a potential defog here? We won't. It did not bring it, but it does run that possibility. This is a levitate, so we don't see any notification of the neutralizing gas, and we don't see the terrain come up, so it does confirm it is levitate. Now it's a question of what do you want to bring in here for Addi. Both sides have rocks up, so this is going to be an interesting spot. We see the hard swap into the Great Tusk. Because of the AV, I don't think Addi's really fearing that much here, and it might just be more of a matter of getting rid of the spikes. And the Will-O-Wisp comes out and it misses. Absolutely huge there for Addi, although I don't know how much of a factor it's going to be because it feels like this Great Tusk job is just to get rid of spikes, not to get rid of the Weezing. So this is a Rocky Helmet set, so Rapid Spin, guaranteed to connect here. Weezing cannot Terra. There is no Ghost type for Talon. So rocks are going to disappear from Addi's side. And I do not believe there are any other Mons that can set up any hazards. So rocks for thee, not for me, Addi says, as Great Spin comes out. We do see the Rocky Helmet chip. And do we see another Will-O-Wisp? Nope. This time they elect to go for the Strange Steam. Not doing as much as you might expect because that is an AV Great Tusk with a ton of special defense. This Mon's role was not to deal damage, which is why Addi was not afraid of the Will-O-Wisp. Bringing in a specially defensive Mon. Hey Mike, yes, Will-O-Wisp. We are seeing it continue its trend of misses this week. You are absolutely correct here. Now, I think Addi may just click Heavy Slam. I missed it on my end looking at the chat. No, we see the swap out. Great Tussie is going out. And in comes, here comes the boom as Ninetales comes in. This is Heat Rock, so there are going to be 8 turns of Sun. Sledge Bomb is what is clicked, and we do see the poison effect. So very interesting. So Ninetales is out, Sun is up. And I would be surprised if we don't see a swap here from the Weezing. It is not very bulky on the especially defensive side, so possibly fearing something along the lines of an overheat. Elects to just stay in, so the baton pass will come in, Ninetales will stay healthy. And what will be swapped into? It looks like Addi is contemplating the Tinkaton. Makes a lot of sense. You resist 2 of the main moves, so unless there is a read here from Playmaker to click Fire Blast, which the Weezing does have, Addi is likely to be able to get the knockoff and make this Weezing a lot less threatening. And the Sludge Bomb is what's selected, so the immunity coming in absolutely huge here. Knockoff is now free for Addi, or did she just go for the Gigaton Hammer? Gigaton Hammer is doing roughly 55 to 66%, so without a crit, will not kill, but will do a ton of damage to this Mon that is set up to be very annoying. Now we do see a Fire Blast come out, it does connect, and that is Sun boosted, but it's not going to be enough for the kill. No burn on the secondary effect. So, very big there. Addi maintaining her Mons in a very healthy manner right now. And once again, we do see Lunar Dance on the Cresselia, which is going to be huge potentially late game for either the Ninetales or the Charizard. So the question of now, what does she want to go into? Is she trying to preserve the Tinkaton, or will she just let it be sacked? We see the timer come up 30 seconds. So we see the hard swap out. In comes the Cresselia, and we see a Will-O-Wisp. Very interesting there, trying to kneecap whatever was coming in. I don't think this Cresselia is going to give a damn. Honestly, I don't think it cares at all in the slightest. Now, will this Galarian Weezing just be sacked here, or are we going to see a pivot possibly into Greninja or something that may be able to be immune to the anticipated Psychic type attack? But if this Psychic does go through, it does outspeed the Weezing, and it will just drop it. No questions asked. What is going to be selected here from Talon? We see a lot of debate going on. Right now, I think it's coming down to, do you make the prediction of a Psychic type attack, or do you just let the Weezing go down? And we see the choice for the sacrifice coming out. Weezing will go down, giving Addi the second kill of the match. Absolutely huge there. So right now it is 4-6 in Addi's favor. Cresselia currently out. Possibly, no, this is where it can get spooky. Possibly baiting in a Greninja to come in here. But Cresselia has a Colbur Berry and Thunder Wave. Instead, we see the Sneasler. This Sneasler is Fake Out with Normal Gem, Poison Touch, U-Turn, Close Combat, Dire Claw. I mean, I'm anticipating the Fake Out here, but big risk as this thing could just die to a Psychic. Addi electing to go for the Thunder Wave. Instead, we just see U-Turn get clicked here. So big damage, as that is a crit. Absolutely huge. Sneasler electing to save its Fake Out and Normal Gem for later in the match. And in comes the Greninja. Oh, Addi with a beautiful read if this Thunder Wave connects. And it does. Addi not taking the bait, anticipating the possibility of a U-turn, clicks Thunder Wave, so that way It's not free U-turn into the psychic immunity. Instead, it is just your fastest mon is now slow. And because of that, I believe Charizard is now the fastest mon without setup on the field, as Greninja, who was scarfed, loses its speed. Absolutely great read there from Addi. Now it's a question of what comes in, because this is where it gets a little spooky. She's in great position, but a lot of her mons have become weakened. Can she find a way to deal with the remaining 4? Addi electing to go with the Moonlight. Even though it is Thunder Waved, Greninja is still outspeeding. And because of the Colbur Berry, immune, and we're going to see this Moonlight just absolutely heal. Don't ask me why Moonlight heals more in the sun. I can't explain it to you, but absolutely huge there. And I think that that's actually going to reveal to Addi that this is Choice Scarf, because without that, Cresselia is not getting outsped by the Greninja at -1. At a speed cut in half, I should say. Even if it was max Jolly. So we see Great Tusk be the swap in here, knowing that this is now choice locked into Dark Pulse. Honestly, it's just going to tickle. Great Tusk does not care about that. This is going extremely well for Addi at the moment. That is interesting. So Rotom puts in the chat that Moonlight heals more in the sun because the Japanese translation is something more along the lines of clear skies. If that's the case, that can make sense. It's just one of those, at least with the translation, it definitely seems very off. So curious what the move is going to be here. Now we have not seen the Hoopa yet, and we have not seen the Entei, so both are still very predominant threats in the back. And we see a headlong rush, and Greninja is going to live that because this is not a offensive Great Tusk. We'll see another Dark Pulse come out, but even at the -1, Great Tusk is living thanks to the resist. And Rapid Spin here is absolutely free. I think that makes a lot of sense for Addi to click here. Get the free speed boost, get the kill if they stay in. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Greninja takes a fall. Addi has officially taken a 3-mon lead here in dominant fashion. Each kill coming from a different mon. Alright, so in comes the Sneasler. This Great Tusk is at +1. But I think we're going to see the Fake Out get revealed, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Normal gem boosted Fake Out. I'm a little surprised we didn't see the E-Speed come from the Entei to preserve the normal gem, but that is going to secure the first kill for Talon's side as Sneasler picks up the kill with the Fake Out. Now, because their Greninja is dead, there's nothing stopping Psychic from just being clicked here. Well, I take it back. There is still the Hoopa, so Thunder Wave may be the safer play here. And funny enough, because of the burn on the Cresselia, immune to the Poison Touch, we see U-turn come back out here. And Addi playing for the long game, electing to once again click the T-Wave. And I think Hoopa's coming in here. I'm not going to try and immediately translate and read that, but we do see that it is, in fact, the Hoopa that comes in, and Thunder Wave is going to once again connect. And that is another Mon unable to outspeed anything because of that. So Cresselia putting in some major work as a support Mon. leaving a lot of hits. This Hoopa is still scary, but it's it's limited now, and a full para is always something to be in fear of. It looks like Addi is debating swapping hard into the Tinkaton. I think it makes sense here for a sack, assuming that the Hoopa is able to get an attack off, just because you need to preserve your Cresselia. And we see Trick Room come out. Very interesting there. Trick Room is going to be what's selected, so now the Hoopa is going to be the quote-unquote fastest mon on the field. Still at risk of a full para, though, so going to be interesting to see what the play is here now. This Hoopa is running a more physically defensive set. It's with its Trick Room, it has Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. Its current item is an Iron Ball, so interesting enough, we see Gigaton Hammer just be selected. They go with the Psychic. This will be resisted, but it will be enough to pick up the kill because of how low the Tinkaton was. So there is the second kill for Talon's team. Hoopa Unbound continuing where it picked up last week, getting some major damage in there. And so now it's going to be partially about stalling out the remainder of this Trick Room. And in we see the Raging Bolt come in. And Hoopa's not really doing much here. Neither team's really doing much. Neither mon's really doing much to each other, but it will be interesting. 3 turns left to Trick Room. Dark Pulse can kill in that time if is able to do enough. Alexa go with the Psychic. Does just under half, and we see the Volt Switch hard out. Going to get some ship damage in there. So now the question is what does Addi want to go into? This Hoopa's going to have 2 more turns. You can't necessarily bank on a full para, though it could be absolutely clutch. In this position, I almost wonder if you have to go into the Ninetales, get the sun up, and possibly just pass the Healing Wish onto the Charizard. So this will get the sun up. Sun is here for another 8 turns. Thanks to the poison, this now drops down to 45%. So Dark Pulse has a chance to kill. Psychic is guaranteed to kill if it can break through the full para here. But I feel like this may just be a sack to stall out Sun and potential stall out the Trick Room, I should say, and then set up Charizard for some late game plays. This is where it gets risky. There's 2 more turns of Trick Room. We see the Healing Wish get selected, breaks through the full para once again, and Psychic will pick up the kill. So no Healing Wish in this spot. Hoopa continuing to claw its way back for its team. In comes the Raging Bolt once again. Now that sun is up, this does make this a little bit more interesting. See what ends up happening here. This is the last room of Trick Turn. We see the Psychic come out. This should not kill without a crit, and it does not. We see Weather Ball get selected, so Sun boosted. Going to nearly kill. Raging Bolt will get a little bit of leftovers, and I think now they will be in a position where they can essentially click Volt Switch if they want to, pick up the kill, and go into, say, Cresselia. This is where it's going to get interesting. There is a fully healthy Entei sitting in the back that is kind of terrifying here. Hoopa goes down. So Sun is still up. This is where things are going to get interesting. We see in comes the Sneasler, going to take a little bit more chip from the rocks. Sneasler and Entei versus the Raging Bolt, Charizard, and Cresselia. Absolutely interesting position here. I mean, in the sun, Thunderclap is doing an absolute ton here. We see the Thunderclap come out, connect. Oh, and that crit is absolutely huge. That Sneasler lives without that crit. Absolutely huge there. The Raging Bolt picking up an enormous critical kill. Very crucial there for Addi. As we now see the Entei come in. It is now Entei versus everything else. This is a choice banded Entei, so whatever it clicks, it is going to lock into. And I think its only realistic option here is to click Extreme Speed. But then I believe the Cresselia is well outside of range that it can then click Healing Wish. And it essentially just be game. We see Addi elect to click the Draco Meteor. Terra is coming out. The Terra on Entei is officially being revealed. It is normal. Do we see the Extreme Speed get paired with it? We do. Extreme Speed gets clicked. And that'll be enough to pick up the kill on the Raging Bolt. So now it's a question of, can Cresselia live the E-Speed? And taking a look at the calcs, the answer is yes. Unless there is a crit, at which point it then comes down to a roll. So I think what has to happen here is Addi has to go into Cresselia. It cannot be a crit. And she's got to click Lunar Dance. She could potentially try and go for the Moonlight to stall this out. That is a play. So curious to see what the decision is here. We see the Extreme Speed. Will it be a critical hit? It is not. Lunar, or the Moonlight, is going to allow this to recover. And so that is 2 E-Speeds down. And I think Addi is in a position to guarantee a 2-0 victory here just by essentially PP stalling. And that, I think, is what we're going to see happen. Almost an amazing comeback from the Entei. However, Cresselia just too damn bulky. Too much recovery. And not going to be doing enough. Now, interesting to note, Sun is gone, so Sun boosted moves are no longer going to be beneficial. However, E-Speed is not doing more than 50% without a crit. So this Moonlight is just going to be able to continue to heal up. So I think that this is officially in the books as a 2-0 victory for Addi. Now, important to note, pressure from the Entei only works on attacking moves, so the Moonlight does not get impacted for it. Each one is only being used one time. And so, honestly, this is not a fun experience to be in as the, coach on the losing side. However, it makes sense. This is the safest play to guarantee the victory, only because Charizard, if you were to do a Lunar Dance into the Flame, while it would have killed, it was not guaranteed to live an E-Speed at full. Entei Terra Normal versus a Charizard, if it's fully healthy, E-Speed kills on a crit. So this was the safest play for Addi. PP stalling out the Entei and ensuring that it was not dying. As this Cresselia was max physical bulk. The coaches are quickly clicking through. We see another Moonlight, but now both coaches should be out of PP at this point. We see the struggle. It's doing nothing to Cresselia, and this Cresselia is going to pick up the kill. So Cresselia with 2 kills in this. Yeah, I see both sides of this. If Joe is frustrated in any way, I completely understand and respect that. But this is the best and safest play for Addi. Now, we see her hovering over Lunar Dance. The only real upside to that would be trying to guarantee that Charizard is credited with the kill. That would be the only real reason to do that. But I think at this point... So we see the struggle come out. Nearly dies to the recoil. And we see the Lunar Dance, so Addi giving away a Mon there for the differential. Cresselia will go down, and Charizard, which will outspeed the Entei, will get credit for the final kill. So Addi choosing to show off some of the different tech that she has there. Goes for the Blast Burn. Little bit of overkill, as I'm pretty sure this kills the Entei 2 to 3 times over. Doesn't have the Sun Boost, so maybe not. But absolutely huge there. Addison picking up a 1-0 victory. Very comfortable fashion there at the end. Going for the PP removal at the end was the safest play to ensure that even after a Lunar Dance, Charizard does not die to a crit. But a very close game. Once again, Hoopa Unbound nearly bringing it back. And we are joined by Talon. Talon, how are you doing?
Oh, that crit was so brutal.
It absolutely was.
Sneasler lived if there wasn't a crit. Oh, that's what sucks about it, is that Sneasler would have lived. And then I would have had a little bit more pressure on Addi in the late game.
Yeah, I think at that point, if Sneasler lives, Scarf Charizard comes in, picks up the kill, and then it's going to be more a matter of the different end game. But yeah, that crit was absolutely brutal.
I just can't believe it, man. Oh, I mean, on the plus side, Hoopa didn't get paralyzed. It didn't get fully paralyzed, so I'll take that.
Yeah, it went a long time without a fully para, and it put in work despite being paralyzed. The Trick Room played into that very well, and it put in work. It once again helped claw back in very dominant fashion. I believe it picked up 2 kills this week. So very strongly done.
It got Tinkaton. What else did it get? Oh, I got Ninetales because I mean missing the burn on Tusk was big.
I'll let you know, Addi was perfectly okay with that. Tusk had no offensive investment. It was just there to get rid of rocks.
I figured as much. Because when I saw how little Strange Steam did, I was like, okay, this is AV.
AV with a lot of defensive bulk. So the chat is asking, when the Sneasler came in on the Raging Bolt, what was the reason for not clicking Fake Out first on the Thunderclap?
Since I had gotten rid of the normal gem, there. I just felt more comfortable going for an attack there and making sure that I knocked out the Raging Bull. Like that was my whole thing. Without the normal gem there, again, I don't know what Addi's defensive spreads were, but U-turn, if there's no investment, I would have done like 25% max. Dire Claw, close combat, guaranteed a KO. So I was literally just, let's get rid of Raging Bolt. I'm going to U-turn, and then I'm going to switch in Entei, and I just live with the results.
No, understandable there. I think it was just the question of it was free chip essentially, forces the flinch kind of thing. But it absolutely was brutal from that crit because it like you said, it lives otherwise. But
yeah, because I mean that was the thing. Like I had like just a standard booster energy Raging Bolt, even though I knew it was leftovers, and I'm like, okay, Sneasel lives everything. It lives everything up to Weather Ball, with my investment and whatnot. But I just wanted to take I really just want to take out the Raging Bolt there, get some damage on Cresselia. Maybe Addi gets greedy there and she goes for the kill on Sneasler, and I can bring in Entei. I get the Choice Bandit E-Speed off. It probably KOs after, and then I win there with E-Speed and against Charizard.
yeah, it was ultimately going to come down to whether or not Addi could get the Lunar Dance, just because E-Speed from the Entei without a crit was not killing a fully healthy Charizard, so that's ultimately where it comes down to is could she get the Lunar Dance off if she needed to. If she could, then Charizard without a crit sweeps, and if she couldn't, then Entei E-Speed just is able to destroy. But in the end, with the crit, Cresselia was essentially able to stall out, which was the safest play to ensure that no crit was at risk of changing the outcome of the game, and elected to go for the Lunar Dance, so that did give an additional point to your differential. But you did secure 1 point, and honestly, after the start, it was an amazing mid game that really clawed its way back and potentially came down to that one pivotal turn. So really great showing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good thing that I packed Fire Blast on Wheezing for the Tinkaton, because I just felt like that was something I needed to have for the Tinkaton, especially the fact that I knew that she had a Sun Core. Terra Fire Charizard, though, was definitely not something I truthfully expected. I really thought it was just going to be like a Ghost Terra in case of what I brought with Choice Band, Entei, and the E-Speed and whatever. It was just because when she revealed the Terra, now I was damn close to clicking Earthquake there on the Charizard, but I was like, you know what, no. And then selfishly I kept Metagross in there because Metagross was going to go down to the Stealth Rock damage if I didn't.
Yeah, after the Focus Sash, it was done.
And of course, I mean, it's overheat, so there was a 10% chance to miss, and if it missed, then I'm in a really good spot.
Yeah. No, and those are the outs you kind of sometimes have to make the decision for. I don't fault the staying in and letting Metagross go down. It made sense there at the moment. It was just, this Charizard, if you don't have an answer for it, it is going to put in some insane work because Addi is doing everything to boost it up this season, and I think we are going to see its full effects as a result. But again, close match against a top, arguably one of the best competitors I've ever seen. Played beautifully, just didn't come down to it. RNG didn't necessarily break the way, made things a little bit tougher. So completely understand that. But before we go to the NFL big game, I'd say if take this with a grain of salt. If I were you, I would hold my head very high because I think you played very adamantly and you brought some fun stuff.
I mean, I'm definitely not mad at the loss because again, I got a point. That's ultimately what matters in the tiebreakers more so than anything else. It matters about the points. I mean, I got 2, so in theory, I mean,
What?
if Joe loses 4-0, I mean, technically well, if Joe loses 3-0 next week, just straight 3-0, he's still ahead of me. If he loses 4-0, then I jump him in the standings. Oh wait, no, I don't, because of when. Shoot, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking of points or whatever, and differential before I'm thinking about record.
That's all good. You're still in a very strong position. You've got 2 points. So there's a lot that can still happen. And we're also only, week 2 out of 10 weeks into this. So a lot of season left. And I would argue you probably faced one of the toughest coaches in the conference already. So in theory, there should be some hopefully easier matches in the near future. And again, these first 2 weeks, you've had some fantastic games. And so I would absolutely, again, hold the head high, because I genuinely was impressed with how you're able to claw back from what seemed to be a very difficult position in both games, and then being able to stay in there because you didn't just leave the game once it was turned into the PP battle out. It got you an additional differential point.
Yeah, and like at least uh in this game, I felt at least last week against Joe, I didn't really feel too comfortable with how I managed to claw back, because I think there were some things I could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely against Addi, I mean, the fact that didn't she go undefeated in season 10?
She went undefeated, so last week was her first loss in all of TBL.
Okay, well, if I'm gonna lose to her, I mean, 1-0 is definitely it's definitely better. I mean, again, it would have been interesting to see what she would have done had the crit not happened.
Yeah,
but
I think there are definitely some ways that can kind of get played around there, depending on what all gets clicked with how healthy the crest was. I think at that point it's just a matter of if she can get Lunar Dance off on the Cresselia, I think she wins. If she can't, then I think East Speed's able to clean up. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, is whether or not she could click the Lunar Dance. Because I think if Sneasler kills, I believe based off the damage that was previously shown, Cresselia lives from Sneasler. Because at least according to the calc, Sneasler was only doing 28% damage, and she was outside that range. So if you kill the Raging Bolt, I think she goes into the Cresselia, clicks Lunar Dance, and then Choice Scarf Charizard just kind of cleans up.
It would have been
Although
interesting to see what happened.
Although it would have been interesting because it would have been locked in and you had not terrored yet. So, well, let me see something. Entei versus Charizard, because Sun would have still been up. With the Terra, it would have been interesting. So it would have been interesting to see how the end game goes, depending on what it is that Addi locked into. So yeah, definitely been interesting to see the end game, but I think there is still both sides or plays for both without the crits. So be interesting. But again, great game. It was entertaining to the very end.
He would have lived Dire Claw.
Dire Claw, Cresselia, I believe, is doing less than U-turn was.
No, with Bolt.
No. What I was saying is if Thunderclap didn't crit, Bolt dies to the Sneasler, Cresselia comes in, and Cresselia lives a hit from the Sneasler and can potentially either click Moonlight or Lunar Dance.
Well, I mean, Addi's telling me that that her Bolt lives Dire Claw.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, because I did not recall what the health of the Great Tusk, or what the health of it was at that moment. But let me see. Dire Claw was doing up to 28%. So
she was she was like max HP or something.
She had a lot of physical bulk into it. I think your only way to guarantee, and again, this is me not knowing off the top of my head how healthy the bulk was. It would have had to be fake out first, and then you go into an attacking move just for that chip. But I don't recall the exact amount. But yeah, so I don't think the crust getting. I don't think the Raging Bolt crit guaranteed anything, but it definitely made it a lot less potentially risky. But in the end, it was a really well played game. And both sets are officially posted in the stats channel. But that will do it for us here. I want to thank both coaches for giving us such a great, entertaining game to start off this Sunday. We do have 2 more matches this week, one this Tuesday and one this Sunday. This one this Sunday, we may not live stream just because of caster availability issues, so there may be a bit of a delay on the upload for that one, but we will get that one out to you nonetheless. I want to thank you all for stopping by and watching with us, and I believe that's going to do it for us here. So, as always, as you go about your day, whatever you do in life, just have fun with it. We appreciate you all and have a good one. Take care.